Hey everyone, Michelle Alexandria coming at you with another video. Hey, I hope everyone's doing well on this holiday weekend. I wanted to talk a little bit about Hamilton now that it's now on Disney Plus. I watched it on Friday night and it was an amazing experience. This isn't a review of the Hamilton. This is more of me talking about my experience with Hamilton and actually getting a chance to meet Lin Manuel Miranda. I'll always butcher his name. Forgive me, you Broadway nerds. I'm a Broadway nerd. I absolutely adored the Disney Plus presentation. I watched it on my beautiful OLED and glorious 4K Dolby Vision. I loved it, and the reason why I really loved it was I loved the fact that they actually kept the audience soundtrack in there, so you actually hear people applauding and cheering at all the right moments. And I had the lights turned out. It was like I was actually in the room where it happened. The room where it happens. Click, boom. I love that soundtrack. It's like just stuck in my head right now. But I wanted to spend a few minutes. This isn't a review, like I say. I just want to talk a few minutes about my experience with Hamilton and how I ended my long Hamilton journey ended with me actually talking to the cast and producers of Hamilton, including Lin Manuel Miranda or Lin Manuel Miranda. And it's just kind of a weird, kind of funny story. And I think going forward, I want to talk about when I do an interview, I want to kind of bring you guys into the room and what my thought process was before the questions I asked and why I asked the questions I asked and what it was like. Just some of the little behind the scenes tidbits. Like I have an interview coming up with Apple TV's Little Voice later this week, and that was kind of a cluster. It was my very first virtual junket. I love the concept, and I think going forward it's going to be awesome. And I may do more of them. But anyway, Hamilton. Back to Hamilton. So my Hamilton journey starts with the fact that because a lot of my videos lately have been centered around tech and my woes of TV. Many of you don't know I'm an entertainment journalist, and I used to cover Broadway. I cover movies, TV, all that kind of fun stuff, and that's where I'm taking this channel back to. I'm taking the channel back to doing the things that I love and talking about the things that I love. And one of them is Broadway and musicals, even though I'm no longer near New York, which sucks. So basically what happened was Hamilton, many people don't know, Hamilton premiered on Off-Broadway. And at the time, I had a lot of Broadway connections in terms of within public relations. So they asked me to come up to New York to see Hamilton in Off-Broadway. And I was like, Hamilton, what's that? Who's Lin? I knew Lin did In the Heights, but that was before I started covering Broadway. So they were like, hey, come up to New York, see Hamilton, give you some tickets, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit on the bus for 8 hours to go up for 2 hours. Can you get me tickets to some other stuff to make it worth my while? I'll rent myself a room and make a whole weekend of it. And they were like, nope, you're just coming up to see Hamilton. And I was like, well, no, I don't know anything about Alexander Hamilton. I'm a product of the American education system, and I'm not going all the way up to New York just for one thing. I have to make my New York trips worthwhile to me. So I turned that down. Then it opened on Broadway, and they were like, hey, Michelle, come up to the previews. We're doing rehearsals. You can come up, talk to the cast, film some B-roll, do some other really cool stuff. And I'm like, no. Not going to do it. And this, people, if you're trying to be a journalist, people, this is why you don't turn down interviews, because you never know what's going to be the next big thing. So if I had one advice to you YouTubers and anyone else, if you want to be a journalist, and don't turn down anything, because the interviews that I had the most amount of luck with are the ones where no one actually knows who the people are, and they're a lot of fun to do. You get a lot of really good, funny moments from those people because they're right at the cusp. They're just starting out, and they're not as jaded yet, and they're not huge yet, and they haven't been asked the same questions like 1,000 times. So those are the people you really want to talk to. You don't want to talk to Julia Roberts, because what am I going to ask Julia Roberts? Drew Barrymore is one of my dream interviews, but honestly, and I came close so many times. And I'm just kind of like, what am I going to ask Drew Barrymore, even if I actually do get a chance to ever talk to her? Um, so, so I was like, nope, I'm not going to do it. And then 8 months later, the show becomes like the biggest thing in the world. And at that point, I'm like, hey, I want to come up to New York to see Hamilton. Can you get me tickets? And they were like, no. Can I buy tickets? And I'm like, no. And they're like, no. And they're like, who are you? We don't have no idea who you are. What website are you with? What's your stats? And that's how PR people work. When PR people want you, they know who you are, they track you down, they beg you, they come up and do whatever it is they want you to do. But then the minute I want something, then all of a sudden it's like, what's your stats? Who are you? Why should we work with you? And it's such a like lopsided relationship. It really is a one-sided relationship. So anyway, I wasn't able to see Hamilton. And then a year later, the same PR people were like, hey, we're opening up American Psycho. You want to come up and see American Psycho? Which was really amazing. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to have it happen to me again. So I went up to New York, saw American Psycho. And I was like, I had a free hotel through Hotels.com because of my recent Comic-Con trip back then. So I'm like, I'm going to turn into an entire Broadway weekend. So I had tickets for Les Miserables, front row center, with Alfie Boe, which was awesome. And then I had tickets for Misery with Bruce Willis. Didn't get a chance to talk to him, though. But it was awesome. And then I saw American Psycho. My hotel was right next to the Hamilton Theater. So I was content, and I did the whole lottery bit going up there. No love at all. So once I checked into my hotel, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go to Sam Ash Music Store, which is one of my favorite stores in the world, and play with the piano for like a couple of hours and the keyboards. And I'm thinking about buying a new piano. Even though my fingers are janky, I think playing the piano and practicing the piano will help my finger joints. So that's what I'm thinking about, buying a piano. So anyway, I'm walking past the theater, and the guy's like, I have two Hamilton tickets, and there's a standby line going around the block. And the first girl who was from Europe or something, she's like 20-something, she was so excited, she snapped one up, and then the guy was like, I have one ticket. And I'm like looking at the line, and it's like everyone's couples and families, so no one can take that one ticket. So I'm like, excuse me, sir, how much is that one ticket? And the guy's like, $700. And I'm like, no. So I kind of walked around. I walked away, and I thought about it. And I'm like, the Kennedy Center is going to charge me $1,000 for a season ticket because that was the only way I was going to be able to get Hamilton tickets. And I can't always trust the Kennedy Center to give me free tickets to stuff. 80% of the times they do, but for something like Hamilton, they will screw me. So as I was walking around, I was like, this entire weekend's free. Yes, I will go back and get that ticket. So I bought the ticket for $700. It was 8-row center, premium seating, amazing. And I was like, please be good, please be good, please be good. Please no head in front of me. And the first thing was the theater slightly sloped, so I didn't have to worry about the whole head in front of me thing, which was awesome. And then the show was so amazing. It was worth every penny. It really was worth every penny. So then I saw the show, loved it. And then in a weird twist of fate, 3 months later, the National Archives hosts an event. They give the producers of Hamilton some kind of national award. And they're like, Michelle, you want to come down, talk to Lin and Thomas Kell, and do the red carpet, do the reception and all that kind of stuff? And I was like, yes, I will do this. So I went down, and I was kind of like, well, what am I going to ask Lin? What am I going to ask him? I can't think of anything to actually ask the guy. And then I was watching his Twitter, and he mentioned his mother loved the Fosters. And I was like, oh, the Fosters. I did a lot of interviews with the cast of the Fosters, and I was in love with that show for the first 3 seasons. I kind of fell off of it after that. But I loved the first 3 seasons of the Fosters, and I'm like, hey, we could bond over that. That would be my one question. So I get there, I'm all teed up, really excited, and this is also why I don't prepare for my interviews, because when you focus on one question and that one question doesn't go the way you think it's going to go, then I'm kind of flustered and I have no idea what to ask later. So that is why I love to just kind of free will it, free form my interviews and just go with the flow. So this time I'm like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to ask my question. It's going to be the one question my fellow red carpet people won't ask because I know those people. They don't watch the Fosters. I could bond. And I'm like, okay, I saw your tweet. I saw that you love the Fosters. And he's like, oh, I don't watch the Fosters at all. I've never watched. I don't watch much TV at all. And then that's my mother. And at that point, you can hear me go, oh, I have no idea what my follow-up question is going to be at that point. So yeah, watch this interview. It's a lot of fun. Make sure you check out Hamilton on DisneyPlus. It is awesome. Even if you don't like musicals, Hamilton is just, wow, it is mind-blowing. So anyway, watch this clip. I saw your tweet today about the Fosters, so I wanted to talk to you about TV and what do you think about shows like the Fosters and...
Oh gosh, I wish I was better prepared. You know, I've never seen an episode of the Fosters. My mom is watching the Fosters.
Oh, okay, so that's what that was about.
But I am an avid TV watcher, and I've basically I've had to opt out of pop culture for the past year and a half because my nights have been gone. I've had a gig nightly, so I'm looking forward to the fall season.
And then Hamilton has exposed a problem with Broadway and the accessibility of people able to actually see the show. As someone behind such a popular show, how do you make Broadway more accessible to more people?
Well, I mean, that's a question with a lot of answers. I think one of the things that we tried to do when we realized the show was going to be successful is prioritize kids. You know, every person who leaves the show says, we got to get history students to see the show. And so we dedicated matinees. We've got 20,000 students seeing our show on Broadway. The program that we built to do that with the Rockefeller Foundation and the Gilder Lehrman Institute, we're duplicating it with our tour company. So, you know, there will be that many kids seeing the Chicago production. We are trying to partner with schools for every stop the first national tour takes. So at every stage of Hamilton's life, students are always going to be a priority.
Did you visit the archives here during your preparation for the role and everything just to get a little bit closer to it?
No, this is my first time here, and we just kind of got the extra goodies tour backstage, so we got to see a first copy of the Hamilton's Report of Public Credit. We saw a handwritten letter from Eliza to Congress at age 89 towards the end of her life. I'm here with a pang of regret that there are so many treasures that I didn't see firsthand.
It seems like the show has become even more relevant as time goes on. At what point during the creation did you realize how strongly it's going to resonate with everyone?
I didn't. I think one of the things that you realize when you write the show is every argument we're having now, everything you cover in Politico or in The Hill or your various news outlets, we had a version of that fight already. The fights that we have as a country, the debates we have between left and right, between progressive and liberal, there's been a version of it, and it's sort of like family fights. You know, the fight you have with your siblings, you've been having variations on that same fight for your entire lives. And so it actually kind of gives you a nice dose of perspective when you read the news and think the world's coming to an end. You go, oh, no, it's been this bad before.
The weird thing is,
Last one, go ahead.
The weird thing is I saw the show, and I was thinking the same thing, that what can we do as a country to get past these same tired political arguments we seem to have every 4 years?
We can't. They're our fights. They are our fights. We're always going to argue about the size of role in our government, the size of government in our lives. We're always going to argue about how involved we are in the affairs of other countries. We are always going to be dealing with the repercussions of slavery and its legacy and how it affects who we are as a nation, always. It's part of the original fabric of our country. So, we're going to move this way and we're going to move this way, and the needle's going to move, but there are issues. You don't solve your family's issues, you just kind of keep talking them out. But we have to keep talking.
As a West Wing fan, are you really geeking out right now? Seeing the archives?
Yeah, yes, I am, absolutely. I'm also geeking out that the West Wing cast is back together and just like chilling and stumping. I read that on Twitter this morning. But yeah, yes, Tommy and I are definitely doing our best, Sam Seaborn and Toby Ziegler, walking these Hamilton halls.
Wait, last question from this guy.
Could you remind us, take us back to that original poetry jam you did at the White House.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind when you walked in front of that camera and you deliver that and you say, you guys laugh, but it's true. And then compare that to now. No one's laughing now.
Well, it was so funny, we got in a car to get here and the address was 700 Pennsylvania Avenue. I was like, oh, I've been next door. It was so funny to hear that address. I was terrified. I was as terrified as I've ever been. I was performing something I'd only previously performed in the shower and to my girlfriend and to maybe Tommy Kail and Alex Lacamoire.
Not all at the same time, though. Not all in the shower.
No, we were not all in the shower at that moment. And so the thrill was, what happened that night is what has happened in real life, which is they laugh because it's a crazy idea, and then they get sucked into the story. Just like I got sucked into the story when I read Ron's biography, and he sucked me into Hamilton's life. That's the kind of power Hamilton's life holds, and so you see it in miniature in that evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. So many. You could write 3 more musicals called Hamilton. 3 different composers could take it and write equally thrilling works.
Ooh, the gauntlet's thrown down. He went
Who's
first.
gonna do it? The one that springs to mind immediately because we saw a document pertaining to it earlier this afternoon was the betrayal of Benedict Arnold. Hamilton was there. He was there when they intercepted the letter. He was there when he said to Washington, "Yo, let's roll up on Benedict Arnold's house. Let's go get him." And the reason it kills me, he didn't say it in those words. So hip hop. But they roll up on Benedict Arnold's house, and Benedict Arnold is not there. He has fled. What they find instead is Mrs. Arnold with her blouse open and a kid in one hand, raving. They're going to take away my baby. They're going to kill my baby. He's left me. He's poisoning. And these august gentlemen, soldier scholars have no idea what to do when they're faced with a topless damsel in distress. And they go, this poor woman, she has no idea what has happened. They send her off to England. She knew what was happening. But that weakness for a damsel in distress, to be able to illustrate that early, because we see his weakness when Mariah Reynolds walks in his door with her story, and his critical faculties go out the window when that happens. And so I was really sad. There was no way to fit Benedict Arnold's story in there. But that's one that comes to mind because it points to a key flaw in his character that gets exploited to its fullest.